Good afternoon to you. Mark Suttoth, HurricaneTrack here. Monday now, the 23rd of September, 2024. Very serious situation beginning to play out as we watch what is now potential tropical cyclone 9, well on its way to becoming a tropical storm. The name will be Helene, and it is going to make landfall in Florida towards the end of the week, probably on Thursday. And we're going to have a real mess on our hands, not just for Florida, but for a good chunk of the Southeast. I will say this is probably one of the more important video discussions that I have put out in the last several years. We think about Ida in 2021, Ian in 2022, and even Idalia last year. Those were significant, but this right here, I think, has the potential to be one of those before Helene and after Helene benchmark moments. I'm not completely convinced of it yet, but the potential is certainly there. And I want to emphasize, this is not going to just be a Florida problem. This is going to be a Georgia and the Carolinas problem as well. One of the also few times that I will encourage you strongly to share this video. Get as many people as you know that live in the Southeast to watch this video, today's update, because it is that important. All right, so let's get started with it. First of all, I want to remind you real quick, because I think this is important, not just a partner and a sponsor of our work, but they can help you. QuickDam, you need to follow them on social. They're out there across most of the social media platforms, if not all of them. There's their website, quickdams.com. They can help you to get ready for this event. The big box stores, they've got them. Time is running out there. If you're in the area where this is going to have the most impacts, you need to be going to their website, figuring out what you want, what you need, and then get over to these big box stores, Lowe's, Home Depot, and the like. And you can email these folks. You can tag them on social media. You can direct message them right there, and they can help you out. A terrific partner of ours, and they're here to help you, and I'm passing that word along because we've got this potential tropical cyclone 9 forecast to become a significant hurricane over the next several days and make its way into the Gulf of Mexico. We can look at the track map for it, what we call the sort of static map from the National Hurricane Center. I'll show you a more dynamic and interactive map in just a minute from our side of things. Forecast to come through the Yucatan Channel, finding the warmest of the upper ocean heat content values that there are, and make landfall somewhere in the Big Bend area as we get late in the day on Thursday. So yes, this is going to be a huge problem for a lot of people. Just to kind of boil it down for you here, potential tropical cyclone 9. It's still, I guess it's not Invest 97L anymore. That's what it was. But it is forecast by the major models to explosively intensify as it enters the eastern Gulf, potentially reaching Category 4 or 5. And I don't say that out of like, oh, why would you say that, Mark? There's nothing that suggests that. There is plenty to suggest that this could reach at least Category 4. And remember, this is very important. Listen to me closely. Intensity forecasting is where the least amount of skill lies with hurricane prediction. Period. That is a proven and known fact. It is talked about every year at conferences. Intensity forecasting is where there is the least amount of skill, and more often than not, these things are under forecast, not over forecast. You think about Otis last year that rapidly intensified to a significant Category 5 before making landfall in Acapulco. We think about Michael in 2018. The list just goes on and on and on. This is not fear. Sorry, got to drop me out, trying to get my telestration away. This is not fear-mongering. Maybe it is. Maybe I need to wake some people up. So we need to pay attention to this. Category 4 or 5, not off the table. Seriously. Regardless of the exact track and the intensity, honestly, there will be a risk of life-threatening impacts many miles from where the center comes ashore, and that really includes the entire Southeast. It really does. There's an increasing risk of a major hurricane strike Thursday. Everybody in that area needs to be preparing now. Do what you need to do. Take the time. I know it's tough. I totally get it. But you've got to act, especially if you're on the coast. Time is going to be running out because this is not way out here where we have days and days and days to see it come in, it is sitting right there. And we need to be doing stuff, today, tomorrow, and then you're going to start to run out of time from there very quickly. It is still in its formative stages. It is part of that overall pattern that we talked about that could lead to this, that Central American gyre. Part of it spawned this system here, John, in the eastern Pacific. This will make landfall, and there's a tiny chance it could get out over here and regenerate. Don't worry about that later. We're going to have enough on our hands dealing with what will be Helene right here over the next few days. And of course, I'm going to show you my favorite analysis tool that exists, in my opinion, and that is the Vorticity chart. There it is right there, really coming together. The Cayman Islands don't show up on this particular resolution of graphic, but our system is really coming together here just to the southwest of Jamaica, south of the Cayman Islands, and it's going to move off in this direction over time and then thread that needle and then come up somewhere into this region thereafter for a landfall. And then everywhere else up here is under the threat of significant wind damage, especially parts of South Georgia. I want to emphasize that more as we get into the modeling coming up here in just a moment. When I just realized I don't have the tidbits model page up, but we'll correct that. The upper levels are very favorable as well. There's just not much stopping this. Once it organizes and develops an inner core, there is not much to stop this from becoming a major hurricane, rapidly intensifying, and that is what we're really most fearful of when we watch these things, is when they rapidly intensify, they outpace the guidance, and they overachieve. And we have to be ready for that, ready for one category higher than any advisory that's out there. Just over-prepare. That's the most important thing you can do, because, you look at this, the water temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, very, very warm. This is your 30 degrees Celsius isotherm. So you're talking mid to upper 80s all throughout the area. I mean, the 29 Celsius is all the way up here, and even the bay, Appalachia Bay up there, the Big Bend area, water temperatures 81, 82 degrees, very, very capable of sustaining strong hurricanes. And then as it passes by, depending on how close we get to the peninsula up here, the 30 degrees Celsius is here, there's 31, so you can just infer 30 and a half. That is very, very, very warm. There's just no way around it. This has untapped water to work with, and that water, the upper ocean heat content, especially in this loop current kind of deal right here, the upper ocean heat content is very plentiful, meaning that the warm water is not just at the surface, but it's very deep as well. So this will just churn up more warm water as it passes through. So all the ingredients are there for this to intensify significantly. These are the anomalies, 1 to 2 degrees Celsius warmer than average where this is headed, certainly warmer than average where it is right now. And I want to point something else out. This is very, very important too. Later on, as we go into October, notice even after Francine made landfall over here, these anomalies have come back. I just can't believe it. And even these have eroded away a little bit. The colder anomalies, we had some blues and then just your regular map color, background color showing neutral. Those have all warmed back up. The Gulf has completely recovered in the wake of Francine. That in itself is remarkable and not in a good way at all. I just can't believe it. I mean, I figured, Francine stirred things up a little bit up here. And that front that was draped over here before Francine, wow, the Gulf of Mexico, the hotbed of hurricane activity, lingering on the last several years here, it continues on. So let me pop open a new tab up here and let's get the tidbits going. Slide my tab right in there. Thank you very much. Now let's look at the GFS for this afternoon. I gotta say, I'm very proud of the GFS. It's not like it's my model, but it is the American main operational weather forecasting model, the global forecast system from INCEP, the National Centers for Environmental Prediction, and it's done really well in capturing everything up to now, truly, truly beating the euro out. I'm not going to sit here and prove it to you. Trust me, it did. The euro was more west, more weak, more spread out. the GFS, all the models were trying to figure the gyre out. The GFS did it first, and here we are. So, hats off definitely to the global forecast system from the INSEP folks. What are they up in Camp Spring, Maryland or something like that? Anyway, let's see. Let's use blue here to make sure everything pops properly. This is remarkable. The model has captured the vorticity signature. This is valid pretty much, we'll just call it almost right now as I'm recording this video. And look, I'll prove it to you. So there's the vorticity signature forecast 6 hours out from the initialization. And here is the actual vorticity signature from not too long ago. Nailed it. So the GFS has a good handle on the initial conditions. With that being said, we'll move this through time. This is Tuesday morning, and then finally Wednesday morning at the tip of the Yucatan there. Hey, there could be certainly some impacts for the cruise ship areas, the resort areas, Cancun, Cozumel, depending on how close this gets. Then it gets into the Yucatan Channel, exits into the southeastern Gulf of Mexico, and then it's just Katie bar the door. It's just, you see this and you know as much as I do, and I get excited about the opportunity to put my talents to use, just like firefighters do. They do all that training. They're not happy to go into a burning building and rescue people for the sake of, that part. They're happy to put their skills to use, right? Anybody that's in a high-risk job, they don't want to have it happen, but when they do, they're glad they have the experience that they do to do a good job. And I see this and I go, okay, here's an opportunity for us to show you the effects, to help people, to collect data, and do what we do as a team, because this is going to come into the Southeast as a significant event. And it's interesting, you can tell there's kind of an upper level low sitting over here that this tries to pivot around. See that? And the placement of this is very, very crucial. Any more east that this pushes, and this gets a little bit more east, it's closer to Tampa, so forth and so on. That's what it looks like. Let's back it up a little bit. At the 850 millibar field, which is 5,000 feet, let's zoom down a little bit, drill down closer to where we live, 10 meters, and look at it from that perspective. This is the Southeast U.S. extent. And speaking of hats off, really appreciate over the years being able to utilize Tropical Tidbits free of charge. Dr. Levi Cowan, we thank you very much, seriously. So, hey, we can tell the story of what we need to talk about here. So there it is in the GFS. You got the west coast of Florida, Apalachicola, and vicinity over here. Mexico Beach is about right there, St. Mark's, Florida. And then you come around to your small Keaton Beach, Steinhatchee, Cedar Key, Horseshoe Beach is in there. Finally around the Nature Coast, and then Tampa Bay, St. Pete, major population area, roughly Orlando right in here, something like that, right? Atlanta sitting up here somewhere, and then lots in town. Tallahassee's there. Why am I going to all that trouble? Because look what happens. Look at all those areas. You know what? That would be a really cool layer to add place names. As a geographer by degree, hey, Dr. Cowan, how about some place names on here? That would be, oh, wow, I'm going to just say it, that would kick ass, seriously, because I'm trying to show people who could be affected by that wind field, and even just looking at it verbatim right here, the 50 knot and higher wind just on shore there of the Tampa Bay area. And that is enough with such a big circulation that you're going to drive a significant storm surge into this entire area, and then you're just going to bottle it up here in the Big Bend if this comes in as advertised. Now this is 78 hours out, and then it makes landfall at hour 84 in an area where very few people live, which is good. But I'm telling you something, I'm going to come back on again. When you see me, you know it's important. The margin of error for this to be, man, it's bad, and this is what I was talking about earlier. We could be looking at one of those before Helene and after Helene. The margin of error here is so thin, do not think of this in miles. Oh, man, it's X amount of hundreds and something miles, whatever it is, from I don't know, what would that be up there? Steinhatchee is probably further up the coast. We'll call it Keaton Beach, whatever. And you drive it down to Tampa. Do not think about it that way. Stop. Don't think about it that way. Remember in school when people would say, math, whatever, I'm doing math. Why do I need to remember this? It's about the angle, okay? And I'm going to draw over here and just give you an idea. Let's use yellow so this pops really good. So it comes in like this, and let's say that this is Keaton Beach right here. It's not a matter of the miles that it takes to drive back down to Tampa. It is the angle of approach. And, you know, you get it a little bit closer to Cedar Key right there. It does not need to make landfall in Tampa. And you have to understand that. If you see this going by and you go, oh, it's going to landfall, the center in Cedar Key, thank goodness for us in Tampa Bay, wrong. You do not understand hurricanes. The difference between here and here, that little bit of an angle difference, the track change, is not, we can't figure it out this far in advance, even 84 hours out. But that much of a difference in track change is enough to drive a substantial surge right into Tampa Bay. And another big reason why I am very concerned about our friends in Tampa Bay, watch what happens as this approaches. Let's just back it up a couple frames. It gets its act together at the west end of Cuba there, and then for several, what is this, every 6 hours or something like that, it's like it just builds up that surge all in front of it. It just builds it up the whole way in. So it's going to have this entire alley all the way up through here to just build up a huge surge pushing in front of it. Whereas Idalia came up the coast and then made landfall like that. Ian came in and shortcut. Charlie came in and shortcut. And Cuba sort of blocked everything, and it had to start post-Cuba. This system is going to come from the gate with a surge pushing in front of it the entire time. And we don't have enough data for a good storm surge forecast from the Hurricane Center just yet. But when we start getting that data in, you're going to see some bad numbers up here. And you folks better prepare for this. Don't be comparing this. Maybe it'll fall apart like Idalia did. It doesn't matter. If the winds come down 6 hours before landfall, that water's already in motion, folks. And then the other part, it comes inland. You're talking, look at the pressure there, still 966. We're going to have millions of people without power down here. Millions. Everybody around here in the power industry, from Duke Power to FPL, Georgia Power, get ready, get your linemen. They got to get some sleep tonight and get your butts on the road tomorrow. I'm telling you, this is one of those ones we're going to be talking about for a long, long time. Very confident of it. Nothing's ever certain in weather. That's the caveat until it's happening. And then it moves inland even more. Columbia, South Carolina, elsewhere, Augusta, even the coastal areas of the Carolinas. This is what I'm talking about. A massive, disruptive event for a huge area of the Southeast United States at the end of September. Wow. All that talk of a busted forecast. Yeah, the numbers weren't there, but at the end of the day, it's about the impacts. And this is one of those ones that will have impacts that we will remember for a long time. We really will. All right. Several emails today. Thank you for those asking about our Patreon. Hey, I've heard of it. Hadn't had a chance to check it out. Here it is. We are supported. Look, I'm going to do a little pitch because it's important. You know, public radio, they often say that it is for you and because of you. Public radio, and I know like it's mostly an older person thing, but we are crowdfunded. Every single thing we do is through our crowdfunding. All the equipment that we have, everything completely crowdfunded. I don't have any hotspots with me. Those hotspots we've got, very costly, all crowdfunded, right? And we do it through Patreon. Been with them, I think, since 2016 or 17. It's grown significantly. We've got a great base, always room for more people, but the best part of it, besides just helping to fund what we do, because this is costly, you become part of our community. You can help us with ideas. You can join our Discord. We can talk to you, and we start to work together as a co-op. One of the beautiful things about social media, and Patreon has really excelled with that. We're very happy with them. I'm even part of their creator ambassador program, the CAT program, where we get to meet with other patrons on a monthly basis, and it's just incredible what it has done for creators of all types. And there's a few people in the weather world that are on there, certainly, and we're one of them. So I invite you to get involved. Just look for HurricaneTrack on Patreon and sign up. You can choose the level that's right for you. You can move around whatever level, maybe $10, $25, and then move down to $4, in the off season. But stay involved with us and help us with ideas. It cannot get too big. We can make it as big as we want. And then you get access to stuff like this, the Insider site, all built by our patrons. Literally, I coded some of the early versions of this. Everything else, the interactive map, look at that sucker. This is the interactive map. You can turn on our cameras. You get to see what they look like. I mean, it's just incredible. It really is. You pop up one of these. This is the Outer Banks, for example. And this is what we're going to do down in Florida. And we're going to put the weather stations out. We've got a couple of those that we're going to set out down here in the Big Bend area down to Tampa. And you guys can be a part of it. Of course, at the end of the day, the social media is what helps to drive this. Subscribe on our YouTube channel. And more importantly than subscribing, I really believe you got to put those notifications on. And you can turn them off after hurricane season if you don't want to be bothered. But when we do something, post a video or go live, you want to know. And that does work really, really well. The power of social media. It's got a lot of negatives, we know that. But the positives, at least for what we're doing with our project, are substantial. So sign up via Patreon. Just look for HurricaneTrack, our logo, and you can be a part of what we're doing. So before I let you go, I will tell you this. Tomorrow, I will be hitting the road. I'm going to be packing everything up. Let's show you how serious we are about this. Everything that I've got that was donated and bought by our patrons over the years is being loaded up into a truck, and off I go. I will be meeting up with our colleague, Greg Nordstrom, Mississippi State University. You might know him. Most of the meteorologists on TV, Greg taught them, by the way, a good chunk of them anyway. And then our man from Denver, Matt Clemens, will be joining me as well. And then Marcel Legabo, he's trying to figure it out. He's up in Chicago working a different job right now, but we might have at least 4 of us down there. And I know a lot of people in the region. We'll probably see some of you down there, and we're going to get to work and do the best we can to show the impacts, to take advantage of this situation, to understand what a powerful hurricane can do. I would say there's probably nobody better equipped to do that than us, and I'd probably be right, and I've got the track record to prove it, thanks to people like you. All right? From all of us at our wonderful community of HurricaneTrack, thank you for tuning in. I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll see you from the road starting later tomorrow.